What's up, guys? We are back with another Star Wars Black Series review, taking a look at the big, literally and figuratively, PulseCon exclusive for 2021. We've got our Power of the Force 2 Tribute Cantina Showdown set. So this is a 3-figure pack with a diorama piece that is, of course, making a callback to the Power of the Force 2 line and this exact set, basically. So it comes in a Power of the Force 2 style box, which I absolutely love. So this includes Dr. Ebazon, Walrus Man, ObiWan Kenobi, and part of the Mos Eisley Cantina bar. And like I said, it comes in a Power of the Force 2 style package. So it's got the green and yellow stripe, the Vader's head out in the corner. You've got that, well, I guess vintage logo look now at this point on the side panels, and then the back of the box has got kind of like a film reel panel of the infamous scene, as well as a bit of a write-up for what this actual set is all about. I really cannot stress how nice this box is. This is one of those that I don't want to open because, well, it just looks great. It's a very big nostalgia trip for me, and I do love that. So we've got 3 figures here to pull out, the bar piece, and yeah, it's a nice looking box. I'm not gonna enjoy taking this one out, but I am very curious to see what's going on with these 2 guys in particular. So let's do it. Let's pull them out and take a look. And here we go. Out of the package are Black Series Cantina Showdown exclusive. So this, of course, PulseCon exclusive. But what's weird is that this is actually not the first release in this line that has used this name. I had to have a think about it, and I remembered that there was a Han and Greedo 2-pack. I think it was a Toys R Us exclusive where they reissued both of those figures, and it was also called the Cantina Showdown. So, you know, just kind of an oddity. But this is definitely a very interesting set for a number of reasons. So we, of course, are getting 2 brand new figures here for the first time, and we're getting an updated ObiWan Kenobi, and of course we're getting an actual chunk of the Cantina. So there's a lot of stuff in this box, and some good, some not as good. So let's get started, see what's going on here. I'm going to start with ObiWan first, because he's the easy one to do. There's really not a whole lot to talk about with him in terms of what he brings to the table, and then we'll talk about these guys over here. So as far as ObiWan Kenobi goes, he is exactly what you think he is. He is that same figure that we've gotten. I mean, we got him a long time ago. I don't even remember how long ago it was, but it has been some time. And he has photo printing now. So I'll run through articulation real quick, and then we're going to do a comparison between the original one and this one. So we've got a robe on him, of course. It is removable, but for this particular scene, it needs to be on him, really. So you've got a head that can look up. He can look down. There is no tilt. You've got full rotation. Arms go out at the shoulders. They, of course, rotate, and they can actually rotate all the way around, despite the fact that he's got sleeves on. You've got a single-jointed elbow with rotation, and then we've got hinges and rotation at the wrist. You know, normal Black Series stuff, especially for this era. You've got your ball peg at the waist, so he goes around, tilt side to side a little bit, forward and backward. Just not a lot of movement, honestly. Legs go out. Decent bit. He's got the big slits down the skirt piece. They go forward, but of course that's going to get in the way. You do have a thigh cut up there. There are double jointed knees, but you know, I mean, it's a tangled mess back here with the robe and the plastic skirt, so you're not going to use it really. And then we've got rocker, and you've got your hinges down at those ankles, which are okay. There are kind of boot cuffs at the top of the ankle that stop him from being able to fully kick that ankle all the way up. So it's only just a little bit. But again, this is, you know, old ObiWan Kenobi. Not the biggest deal, I guess. He's certainly not going to be dynamic, really. And the big thing with this figure is the update. It's the change to the design and to, you know, the photo reel. So he's still got the robe, which I do think, frankly, looks fine. I wish it was wired, you know, I mean, especially for a deluxe release like this in an expensive box set. It would be great if it was a wired cloak, just because, I mean, who wouldn't want that, honestly? We know it can be done really well at this scale, but it hangs nicely, and I've never really had a problem with it. I think it's okay. You've got kind of the dirty Jedi robes under there. He's got his satchel. You've got the hook for your lightsaber hilt there. And then he's just got kind of the tunic up top with the brown shirt. Of course, you can drop that hood down a little bit, and we've got our head sculpt there, which I think, for the most part, the sculpt is good, and there's no issues with the sculpt for me. The big thing came with the paint on the original one. So there's our original with our new, and this definitely brings out the likeness to Alec Guinness quite a bit more. The eyes are cleaner. There's a little bit more wash in the beard, and there's a little bit more of actual skin tone shading all over the actual flesh. So it's not just cast plastic. There is more detail when it comes to the overall face, and it brings out a lot of the wrinkles in that sculpt. So I think it looks a lot better. I don't know if it was something I was clamoring for, but better is better. And then, of course, to round out this figure in terms of unique accessories, he does come with his lightsaber. So we've got the ObiWan Kenobi saber. You can pop the blade out if you need to and put it on his belt, and have it hanging down just like that. But, of course, for this particular scene, you might want to have him slashing off an arm, in which case you will use that blue saber. So it's a decent update. It's still a very antiquated Black Series figure, don't get me wrong, but the change to this face is a marked improvement over what we've had for a very, very long time. Now with Panda Baba, or, well, of course, Walrus Man, because I didn't know he was named Panda Baba for a very long time, he is a very different story from Obi-Wan, because this is, of course, a new figure in the line. That said, this is a ton of parts reuse here. This guy is mostly Yavin Luke. From what I can tell, there's a lot of parts reuse. In fact, this entire set, it seems like it's kind of like a step back in time, where a lot of these figures, all of them really, are not new style Black Series. They are all very antiquated due to just how they're constructed. So it's kind of odd. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. You've got your head. It is on a independently articulated neck, thankfully, so you've got that, because his head is huge, so it only looks up a little bit. It looks down really good. You've got a little tilt, full rotation. The neck does move as well, but it's kind of hard to make it move by itself because the head is so big. Arms go all the way out. Rotate. You've got your single joint, but a little bit better than 90 at the elbow, rotation, and then you've got hinges and rotation at the wrist. We've got a diaphragm cut here, so he can go backwards, forward, tilt side to side, and then rotate. There is not anything at the waist though, so it's all at the diaphragm, but it's pretty good, decent range. Legs go out about that far. They kick forward, but not very well. Kind of like this. They don't do a great deal. Mine kind of like want to like rubber band back. They kick backwards slightly. You've got a thigh cut. We've got double jointed knees, so that's another giveaway that these are, older style legs. And then we've got our ankle rocker and hinge down there, which is actually pretty solid. So he moves fine. Like, I'm not complaining when I say he's an older figure, because in this instance it really doesn't matter. I think he moves well enough, so no real issues there. And it's one of those things that he's not going to be doing a whole lot of dynamic stuff anyway. What I do like about this guy, however, is mostly his design, because despite the fact that there's a lot of reuse here, I think it's pretty decently done. So you've got the jacket, which is orange, and there's kind of dirt and grit and grime on it. It's kind of haphazardly applied, honestly. It's just like a few hits of an airbrush, but at least it's better than, kind of, I guess, nothing at all. So you've got a little bit of paint there. I do like the torso on this guy, although I think at the same time, he's kind of on the small side. He's not supposed to be huge by any means, but he seems, well, as we knock him down, he seems to be a little small. And I'm going to bring Obi-Wan back in just for that. So he is... he's shorter than Obi-Wan. He's also much, much smaller in terms of overall girth than Obi-Wan, so it's kind of odd, and I'm assuming that's in relation to the parts that we're reusing here. He does have some new hands, the kind of hairy Wolfman-style hands. You've got a trigger finger, you've got a gripping finger, or a gripping hand. You've got your painted belt buckle. You've got the holster here, which is again, definitely not for, like, this gun, because the way it attaches, you put the gun in and then it actually loops around to peg in. Like, it's not actually holding anything there, it's just sort of pegged in, and that's how it's done in the official pics too. So that's a little janky. And then you get your brown pants with black boots. Nice leather texture on there though, I do like that. So he's kind of basic in many ways because of the parts that we're reusing. The big draw for this guy is ultimately the scene that we're setting, and then the fact that he is new in terms of character selection, and he's, an original trilogy character. But then, of course, we've also got this big monster head on him, which is definitely the draw. It's the main thing you're going to be focused on, and I think for the most part, just like I say every time we get something like this, Hasbro does a really good job of making aliens in this line, and Walrus Man, Panda Baba is no different here. The sculpt on him is fantastic. The butt mouth thing that he has, as ridiculous as it may be, does look really good. The hair around the mouth looks nice, and there's a lot of shading all over this head, so it's kind of like a muddy, muted green-blue color, but then there's hits of yellow and like kind of dusty brown all over it with a bunch of red spots on top, not to mention the fact that you've got those super, super big eyes too. And I think that really, if anything, it saves the figure from being a little bit more on the mediocre side, because without a really, really good head sculpt, there wouldn't be a lot to this figure. So I think Hasbro did a really, really good job translating that into plastic. Now, Walrus Man does have a few accessories. He's got more unique stuff than the rest of this set, and I really like it. It's another one of those things that kind of saves a lot of this figure for me. So, of course, I've already talked about the gun a little bit. So he's got kind of a unique gun. It's just a pistol, but it looks good. Sculpt is nice. Lots of little detail all over it. Nice red handle. Kind of makes it pop and stands out a little bit more. But what's really exciting about this guy is that we get his originally intended hands. So this guy, before some changes were done, had these weird like sucker hands instead of actual like Wolfman style hands, and it was changed after just some creative decisions. So they changed them to real hands, but they included these here. So of course you just pop your hands out, and then we can replace them. So they are lettered. So this one is the R. And then you've got your sucker hands here. So you can't use the gun when you've got these in, but if you want to go for a original Walrus Man look, or if you somehow manage to get two of these, you can have both Wolfman style hands and these sort of weird, crazy sucker hands. So they're really ridiculous. It's a very Star Warsy kind of thing to have as well. So I'm really happy that these were included, because it's just one of those kind of things that if you're really deep into Star Wars, you know about this stuff and you appreciate the weirdness, and I do like when they kind of throw those Easter egg type things in. Now, Dr. Ebazon is kind of more of the same in terms of Walrus Man. He is, again, a lot of reuse, a lot of older style parts, but there's a lot of new stuff on him too. I'd say that he's definitely got more new than the rest, but he still feels like an older Black Series figure. So you do have the independently articulated neck on this guy, which is great. I do like that. So he goes up a little bit, he goes down a little bit, tilt side to side, full rotation. The neck does move. Arms go out all the way. They rotate all the way around. We've got our single jointed 90-degree, basically rotating elbow, and then you've got hinges. They're kind of tight. And then rotation at the wrist. You've got your diaphragm cut, but he is really locked down because of his design. So yeah, his tunic kind of cinches at the waist, and the waist doesn't really move. So you can sort of move him, as you can hear him squeaking because he doesn't really want to move. You can twist him, but he doesn't have much in terms of tilt in any direction because he's got kind of a fat stomach. So he's not going to go forward too much more either. Legs go out only about this far. He's not going to be doing the splits anytime soon. They only kick forward about that far. Kick backwards a good bit. We do have a thigh twist. You've got your double jointed knees. So again, kind of a giveaway that it's an older style figure. And then you've got your rocker. Pretty good range though. And then you've got hinges down at those ankles, but they don't go as far as you might think. They probably go enough, but they stop due to this cut right here at the ankle. So again, kind of an antiquated feel to this guy, almost like he was designed to have been made a long time ago in this line. He does, however, look really good. Like, I'm happy with the way he looks. So you've got, his nice little tunic, which is done up with a really dirty leather feel. So it's all covered in kind of textured detail. You've got some pouches back there, a little bit of hit of shading on here just to make it look distressed and worn. You've got the big slit down the chest, and the skin tone matches pretty close to the neck. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close. Painted buckle, and then the rest of the legs are, it's just kind of a purpley pant with black boots, a little bit of leather texture down here, lots of wrinkles, as is the case across the board when it comes to Black Series. You do have a holster, and this is meant for his gun, so you've got that as well. And yeah, he's kind of a basic figure. Like, I'm not saying that in a negative sense. He doesn't have too many bells and whistles when it comes to his overall design, because he is just kind of a dirty guy in a bar, but I do think he looks pretty good. The head sculpt, though, of course, just like with Walrus Man, is definitely the area to focus on because there's a lot going on up here. I mean, frankly, he is a mess when it comes to his face. So you've got kind of the distorted eye, you've got a pupilless eye on one side and a whole bunch of scars up there. You've got that big bulbousy nose and a whole bunch of just mess around his mouth, not to mention the big scar up there. And I think they did a really good job. Like, it looks fantastic. This is a really, really good Dr. Ebazon figure for sure. There's just a mess of nonsense going on this guy's face. He is very disfigured and ugly, and it makes perfect sense that he is so unhappy wherever he goes. So I think they did a great job, and it's another one of those things where if he didn't have a really good head sculpt, it would land this figure somewhere in like the sea of mediocrity, basically. Just like Walrus Man, he has a great head sculpt, and it saves a rather basic figure otherwise. So I do like that. He's even got a little bald spot back here on the top of his head to show that he is, of course, a little old man, basically. And then, of course, we do have a singular kind of signature accessory for him. So you've got his blaster, which is really weird. And I'm assuming this is new. It doesn't look familiar to me. So it's a small pistol, but he's got these, like, doodads on the top of him. I don't know what those are supposed to be. They look like scopes, but it seems entirely useless and impractical, but of course we are talking about a Star Wars gun, so that may be just fine. So he's got a cool looking little pistol to go with his really gnarly head. Otherwise, he's a pretty standard figure, but he's topped off pretty nicely. And then, of course, the last thing to talk about is, well, the actual scene that you can set with this. And there's a lot to like about this, but there's also some frustrating stuff going on with this particular piece. So we've got the bar here, and let me just move these away, I suppose, for now. So you've got a couple cups. So you've got 3 individual cups. They're all unique. They're cups. There's not a lot to talk about. They can't really hold them very well. I should say that. They can't really hold them very well. They're very big compared to the stuff they would normally hold. We've got our bar sections, and these are removable. So like they all come apart, so they're modular, because you need 2 of these to actually make the full bar. And as far as I know, they're limit 1 when you actually buy them. So I'm not sure how people are going to go about doing that. I can't speak to it. It's definitely half a bar. So we've got that problem. There's not a lot of paint on it either. It's really just this cream color with the silver and then a little bit of, I don't know, gunk on the front. There's some gunk here. There's some gunk there. You do have to put it together. It's a pain to take out of the box too. Honestly, it's taped, it's tied in, the whole deal. So you have to put all of the bits and bobs and doodads on the actual, I don't know, the taps back here, whatever these are supposed to be, all these IG unit heads that are back here that ended up in the bar, and then you've got all this piping that you have to put in there, and it's okay. There's no paint on any of that either, though. The big thing is that it only is half of the bar, so if you want to have a full display, you're going to have to figure out a way to get a second one. I do think that it is sized pretty well. You know, like a character's arm can kind of rest on the bar fairly easily. We need a bartender. I would love to get a bartender. That'd be fantastic. But you can have, a character come in here, and Panda Baba is kind of small for this because, like I said, he's a little, but you've got the ability to have somebody be your bartender. And you can have your denizens of the Mos Eisley spaceport there. Now, obviously, this is meant to set a scene. It's meant to be a very specific thing where these 2 idiots are picking a fight with a young Luke Skywalker, and then ObiWan Kenobi comes in and saves the day and cuts off an arm, a Panda Baba Walrus Man arm. The big downside to this set for me, when it comes to setting this scene, there's no arm. You can't pop this arm off. There is no bloody arm to throw on the ground. There's no bloody stump to put in place or anything like that. So you do have that kind of issue. So you're going to get up to the point where the arm gets chopped off, and that's about it. I'm trying to kind of just think about all the ways you can use this, and I figure that what I'm going to end up doing mostly is just to have it on a shelf, and then it will be covered with a bunch of aliens. So Greedo will be there, maybe throw some of the bounty hunters, some of the more random characters that we've gotten over the years, throw them in there, and throw somebody behind the bar, throw DJ Rex behind the bar or something like that, and we'll have a full scene. So there's definitely a long way to go to making this like an entire thing, because again, we're missing a lot of the stuff that goes with this. We don't have any of the other Cantina aliens that really matter here for this scene. I do like the idea of getting this. It is one of those things that is, once it's out of the box, It is not going back in, so be mindful of that when you take this whole thing out. It really is one of those things that it is not collector friendly, so it's not going to go back in there, but it does look pretty good, and I would love to see what someone's going to do to it if they decide to paint it up, because it has a lot of cool potential, but I do think it is definitely kind of lacking when it comes to detail, and then of course it's only half. So overall, this is a pretty solid set, but it's not without its issues. You know, I feel like the figures are kind of old. They do seem like they're antiquated, even though they have some modern changes to them. They do come with really solid accessories. Like, I really like the sucker hands on Walrus Man. They have good guns. I like the cups included for the bar. The bar is, of course, half a bar, so that's its own problem. If you really need the full thing, you might run into some challenges with that. However, it's still a lot of fun. Like, I definitely see myself having a lot of fun with this. Just putting other stuff that doesn't belong with this bar is already a lot of fun. I would love to have all the stuff that goes with it one day, if that's even remotely feasible, to feel like a more complete display. But at the same time, it's cool to be able to throw whatever you want on this thing, have a nice little weird Star Wars bar on your display, and it still looks really good. So it does have some issues. It's not a perfect set, but it's still a lot of fun. So that's going to do it for this look at the Star Wars Black Series PulseCon exclusive Cantina Showdown. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.